This is Replaced. Replaced will be a 2.5D retro-futuristic action-adventure game that takes inspiration from cyberpunk media like Blade Runner and mixes it with the Batman Arkham games for its gameplay. After waiting a long time for it, I finally got around to playing the demo. And now that I have some thoughts about the game, so let's talk about it. I want to talk about the non-gameplay elements first, presentation and the story. For the presentation, I knew the visuals would be great, but somehow I was still surprised with how everything looked in-game without video compression on YouTube. The cutscenes that I saw impressed me. The small sample that I experienced got me excited to see how the rest of the game would look. Thinking about the overall aesthetic of Replaced, I think it's done well so far and it's clean. The retro-futuristic look is awesome. I can't wait to see what the city will look like. And this should go without saying, but the sound effects and music are great. I'll admit, however, there wasn't a moment where I thought I need to listen to that track outside of the game. The music that I experienced in the demo was good for the context that it was in. At least at the moment, all the music that I can enjoy without the context of the game were used in the trailers. Now, I would hope that they would use those tracks in the game. Because that would be a waste if they didn't. The worst thing I can say about the presentation is that this icon is dark red. I feel like it might be hard to see on some backgrounds, and when the action gets crazy. I would consider making the icon glow, as it would make it pop from the background to make it easier to see. For the story, I know that it revolves around Warren and Reach. Warren is the creator of an AI program called Reach. Due to an accident, Reach found itself in the head and body of Warren. After that accident, they had to run away from the Phoenix City wall. They need to survive, get back to that laboratory, and find out what the Phoenix Corporation is planning behind the scenes. The story piqued my interest because I found it odd for an AI to be trapped in a human body, and that AI has control over it. I'm unsure if Warren is conscious, and if he is, whoops, my bad. It's just that it seemed that way because whenever he talks, it's Reach. Anyway, I have a feeling that the position that they're in wasn't a complete accident. The Phoenix Corporation might have wanted to do this from the start, but didn't want this specific event to happen. That said, the situation that these two are in got me thinking about the plot on my own time, so I'd say that's a good sign. Alright, now let me explain how Replaced plays. When you are not in combat, you can run, jump, move objects, and scan info for learning about the lore of the world. There are scripted platforming, stealth, and puzzle sections too. While in combat, Reach has a basic attack, a counterattack, a jump/dodge, and the ability to restore health. And for the sake of the demo, we were able to use the gun/finisher. The game will tell you what you can and can't counterattack using an icon. When that attack can be countered, the icon will be yellow. However, when it's red, you have to dodge. And that's pretty much it for what I had access to. The non-combat related sections seem fine, but I need more from that part of the game to get a better opinion on it. From what I can parse from the trailer, there'll be more puzzle solving that are more complex than what I did in the demo, if you can even call it a puzzle. I'm not quite into puzzles, but I don't want to feel like my time is wasted with a puzzle that I can solve in my sleep. Might as well just make it a fight room. Speaking of which, the combat felt fine. It's not quite fast paced, but it isn't exactly slow either. I could feel the weight under the attacks, but I did notice you can counterattack or dodge at any point in your attack. Just know if you don't complete the animation, the attack won't land. While I believe the combat has a solid foundation, there are are two things that worry me about it. Talking about a more specific aspect first, I feel like the combat could flow better even if it's supposed to have some weight to it. When using the gun after a basic attack, there is a pause, and it just feels clunky. If the basic strikes can transition into firing the gun, it would be so much better. Speaking more broadly about the combat, I think it's just a slight worry that I feel the combat might end up being shallow and possibly one-dimensional. Don't get me wrong, the cinematics for the executions look cool, but I get the feeling the enemies will only require the basics to take them down. Though my concern could be unfounded. I noticed in the updated gameplay trailer, Reach had other icons next to the gun, so I know we will be able to obtain other equipment for combat. One of the icons looks like a hook and the other, well, I'm not sure, maybe wind? But I can see the hook being a way to disarm enemies and the other being a knockback. With that in mind, I hope there will be an alternative method to fighting the large enemies. By the end of the demo, I knew I had fun fighting the grunts. Granted, we were given the gun early, as the game tells you. However, the big dudes didn't exactly react to, well, anything. You just had to dodge their attack and attack repeatedly, at least until the finishing blow. I would assume that the developers will give the player a sufficient way to deal with them, making those encounters more engaging. Of course, having the item be balanced is important. Don't want to make the fight too easy. I can also say the same thing for the enemies with the rifles. It would be cool if we could block a shot with an item and counter with our gun. If there are enemies around the player, you can have that move knock them back, so you can give that player space. Although it's possible that the hook might be attached to a chain and you can disarm them like that. And that would be pretty cool to see. We'll just have to see what happens in the full game. And those are my thoughts on the demo for Replaced. To finally get a sample of what Sad Cat Studios are cooking up feels amazing. You know, I had a feeling that Replaced would be great based on what I saw for the visuals and audio, and I can at least say I'm interested to see where the story is going, in spite only being able to experience a fraction of it. And the gameplay seems fine, with potential to be hype. And again, my trepidation could be unfounded, but it's just that I've played so many games and seen so many that look great, have a great story, but the combat is only puddle deep. So call this cautious optimism. Replaced is supposedly coming out April 14th, and hopefully there will be no more delays. You all should put Replaced in your wish list, as that will support the game and its developers. Anyway, that's it from me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.